Now, is he gonna run the board for us today? Now, Casco Bay High School, that's the Expeditionary Learning High School, right? How do you know? I just know Jessica's always putting a happy face on everything. You really do know this? All right, then. Oh, okay. And then Elijah, he saw radio and stardom and fame. Can Elijah? Can you put him on for a second? I got a question for him. There you go. All right, technically, microphone in position. Turn the mic on. Elijah, what grade are you in, then? Junior. And do you watch American Idol? You do not watch American Idol. Have you ever seen American Idol? You haven't. Have you heard of it? And why is it that you avoid? Are you avoiding the show, or is it? Cool. Now, is that because you're in Expeditionary High School? Okay. And so you want to learn how to do radio. What kind of radio do you like? Do you listen to radio at all now? Oh, I see. Because there's not that much variety, really. That's why I was a little, I'm like, all different kinds. Well, there's commercial and there's commercial, right? There are. All right, well, Elijah, we're psyched to have you down here, man. All right, good. All right. And today on HomeDad, of course, we're going to be talking about virtual progress in virtual reality. So-called virtual reality has been embraced by our culture in ways such as entertainment and relationships. Now, USM Communications Professor Lenny Shedletsky says he's witnessing a growing trend in education. Many students are more comfortable sharing online and speaking up in class. Are traditional classes fast becoming old school? Do students learn better from the safety of their own laptops? Will technology make face-to-face human contact obsolete once and for all? Can we actually cover this topic in less than 30 minutes? That's today on HomeDad, Jessica. All right, that's it. I don't know what we're doing next week. We've had a schedule change. So let's just go right to our public service. All right, if you wanted the time and temperature, you need to go to a different station. But if you want to know the level of paranoia to maintain as an American citizen, you've tuned to the right frequency. Of course, we're talking about the terrorist threat level. Terrorism, baby. That's what it's all about. Yellow. Warren, what's the What level is it, Warren? Yellow. That's right, America. Be very, very yellow. That's what it's all about. Yellow. Orange if you're on a domestic or international flight. Orange and yellow. Can you wear sandals on a plane? I didn't ask the security guys that. You still got to take them off? They can see that your filthy feet, your unclipped nails. There's no bomb there, man. I almost got in trouble with Homeland Security coming out of Dulles Sunday. I had a Maine driver's license that expired on Sunday, and it had the little sticker on the back that they gave me. It said. I went to the motor vehicle division, and they said, yeah, they put the sticker on the back of my license and said, this is a temporary license and it's good for 60 days. And the guy said, we'll mail you your new license. I said, great, no problem. I said, is this going to, I'm going to be going through airports. Is this going to be, they're going to accept this? The guy's going, oh yeah, no problem. So I get to the airport and there's this guy, Homeland Security Joe, I'll call him. And he saw that little sticker, man, and that was it. Everything came screeching to a halt. He said, oh, I've never seen this before. So he went and talked to his buddy. And his buddy said, yeah, let him wave him through. And he came back and said, you better get this taken care of as soon as you can. I wasn't sweating. I'm sitting there going, dude, I am taking care of it. I'm thinking, I shouldn't have done it. I should have let my license expire. It wasn't that big of a deal. I was looking for trouble. Homeland Security, Jessica. Be sure to go shopping and think about bombs and terrorists, Iranians and homosexuals. Big threat to America. All right. Any announcements today? No. Okay. That the personal computer and the internet have caused a radical change in the way people interact, there is no doubt. But marketing and sales hype aside, is the technology of the so-called information age really going to be the one great thing that solves all the problems of mankind once and for all, like the developments of radio and television were supposed to in their times, respectively? The area of education is certainly not gone untouched by the information age. Computers and the internet have revolutionized the ability to research, and now more and more classes, interaction is actually happening online. Our traditional classrooms, old school, is the world a better place with people who interact mostly through electronic devices? Our first guest today is a university professor who says that while there are studies showing an increase in the amount of students who say they are more comfortable contributing, online rather than face-to-face, he questions whether or not this trend is actually an improvement in education. He's also, let's see, I have more. Our guest is also the author of Meaning and Mind, an interpersonal approach to human communications, co-author of Human Communication on the Internet, and co-editor of Interpersonal Communication, the interpersonal, am I reading this right? Communication Process. Please welcome to us USM Professor Lenny Shedletsky. Lenny, how you doing today?
Hi. Lenny is good.
Lenny is good. Now speak right into that mic so we can hear your voice. You got that great voice.
Yes, sir.
And also it says here in your bio that you wrote the entry for cognition in the International Encyclopedia of Communication.
Yeah.
Now that's awesome. What is that? I mean, how did you get chosen? They just give you a word, say, look, come up and define it. Here's your deadline.
I received an email from a professor at Purdue saying, hey, I'm one of the editors, one of many editors of a section of the encyclopedia.
Okay.
And he I guess knew some of the stuff I wrote. He had met me at conferences, and he said, "You're a cognition guy. I'd like you to give this a shot." And
wow.
I felt very good about that particular publication. It's a recent one that just came out.
Well, Lenny, it just it caught me because I use the dictionary a lot, believe it or not. And but you kind of wonder who writes these things, who comes up with the definitions and the usages, and because they're different from publisher to publisher.
I find that having written a couple of books now and this encyclopedia article, and I actually have a second one coming out, it's been an eye-opener for me. I actually have thought that it would be fun to teach a course that questions the educational value of textbooks.
Huh.
And frankly, I've always told my students, don't write like an encyclopedia article. I'd rather you go deeply rather than try to write broadly about a topic.
Right.
In 1,000 words, say everything there is to say about memory. And then I went ahead and wrote an encyclopedia article, which I'm proud of. But I also know, because I've done it, what the limitations are on these things.
Yeah.
I would, if I could figure out how to do it, I'd love to do a seminar on the dangers of textbooks.
All right. Well, that's another topic. Lenny. And I also want to introduce, you brought a couple of students with you today, USM seniors, communication majors. We have also with us Alice Goodwin. Alice, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
All right, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
And Wayne Griffin. Wayne, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great.
All right, great. All right, so is my introduction completely way off base, Lenny? I mean,
No.
You're saying that we talked on the phone earlier, and you were saying that more and more students are interacting in class online, and you're finding that for a lot of reasons, they feel more comfortable doing it.
Yeah. No, I think your introduction was accurate and gives us a place to start. Let me frame it this way. My impression of the history of communication technology is that every time we've had a major new medium, whether it was radio or film, video, television, and now the internet, there have been certain recurring experiences. One of those is that there's a period of thinking that this is going to be the one that changes the world forever. And it's going to change education in particular.
Right. Right.
Now we'll have somebody on a radio station beaming out audio signals, and we'll play them in the schoolroom. We won't need the teacher.
Right. You just plug in a cassette, hit play,
Exactly.
and everybody's going to be getting straight A's.
Right. Everyone's going to, benefit from this, and we seem to go through this time and again. And now I think we're in the phase where it's the internet. And it's not to say that it's not a revolutionary medium, and that it's not to say it doesn't have a huge impact, but we tend to go too far in thinking this is the solution, this is the magic bullet.
And this hype, it's kind of like, maybe it's not, hype is not a good word, okay, not a respectful word for all the entities that sort of push these dreams, these visions of the future. I mean, aside, how legitimate is some of this stuff? Some of it's just marketing. They're just trying to sell you some sort of product or some sort of device.
Right.
Okay, but these visions are also come from academia.
Yeah, and you get both sides of it. You get it coming from different motives. Some of it is to make money, and some of it is just insecurity, and
Right.
some of it's just wishful thinking. I think the position I'm taking is that there's good and there's bad. It's a simplistic view maybe, but there's good and bad. Depends how you use it. It's as simple as that. It's a medium. It is not the content.
Okay, Lenny Shedletsky, USM Communications Professor today on HomeDad. We're talking about virtual reality, virtual progress. We're not necessarily limited to education, but let's go ahead. Alice Goodwin, you're a senior communications major at USM. Describe to us, if you can, what is this? When I went to school, they were teaching you how to write BASIC and stuff like that. The personal computer was sort of there, but there was no internet it was nothing. It was 25 years ago. What is it like now to interact in class online?
Well, I went to high school a very long time ago, and it's completely different. I enjoy interacting online. I enjoy the freedom and the time that it affords me. I can interact in my pajamas.
Right.
I can do it at 8 in the morning or 11:30 at night, 3 in the morning.
Right.
It gives me the time that I like to have to really think about what I'm reading and what I'm going to write and how I'm going to respond to my fellow classmates who've also posted their ideas and opinions. And I agree with Lenny. I don't think that it's an end-all, be-all. I think the combination of classroom classes and online classes, diversity is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not that one may be any better than the other. The downside, in my opinion, to online course is that the student really has to be self-disciplined and motivated and not blow it off. It's very easy to not go to class on your computer. No one's going to know if you're there or not. You're sort of invisible, if you will.
Don't they have software that keeps track of that, though? Can't they plug the student into some sort of GPS device? Right?
There's software that will track, I think, how many times we post and how many words
Okay.
we write, but I don't think that it says, well, where's Alice right now because she's not here.
Okay, yeah. All right. And so how does it work, though? I mean, do you interact real time? Let me go ahead to Wayne Griffin, also a USM senior, a communications senior. Are you interacting on real time, or is it you just post something and you see it like getting emails and then you react to it?
That's one part that's quite different from the on-ground classes, is that it's not real time most of the time.
Okay.
There are certain times when you might schedule to have a chat, get a group together and
Okay.
actually chat.
And you would do that via emails, right? Is that how it works?
Well, the Blackboard is what USM uses.
Okay.
And you can schedule a chat, which we tried to do and ended up in different rooms, so we
Yeah,
didn't do
you
that
got
too
lost.
well. But if you end up in the same room, then you can actually talk.
And that's like a chat room is what
Yeah,
you're
that
talking
chat
about.
room.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I've actually had internet access since the early 2000s, but I've never been to a chat room or anything else like that. So if I'm pretty ignorant, it's because I am definitely ignorant. I've never done that.
I've never been to a chat room, and I've never been to any of the social networking
Right,
sites.
neither have I.
Neither have I.
That doesn't interest me, but the online
Not
classes are
as
quite
not as Chip Edgar anyway.
different. Yeah.
All right, we're talking about virtual reality here in education and other things as well. So do you guys, I have a couple of USM seniors here, Wayne Griffin and Alice Goodwin. Do you guys feel more comfortable online, or or do you? This is probably not going to happen, but if you had to choose, would you go online or in the classroom? Which would you prefer?
I don't prefer one over the other. It depends on the teacher, depends on the course, and depends on my life, what I need to be doing.
Right.
It helps me with work, but there's certain courses.
What is it that helps you with being online?
It's easier to schedule.
Okay, yep.
Be able to work 40 hours a week and then do the online stuff when I can.
Right.
Rather than picking a class time that fits into my work schedule.
Sure.
That's a big advantage. But certain courses where I think it's a lot of, I need to learn by myself, I would prefer online. But when I want to actually have the face-to-face interaction for some reason, then I would choose an on-ground class.
Wayne Griffin, USM Communications major. Alice Goodwin, same question to you. I'm not asking you to decide one way or the other, but what are your feelings between the two, between interacting in class and interacting? I mean, I would think I would be I could get frustrated if I wanted to ask Professor Shedletsky some questions that I'd have to keep waiting for him to respond, or I don't know.
Well,
In typing it all out. A lot of people email me, they don't want to talk on the phone. For me, it's easier to talk on the phone.
see, I hate to talk on the phone. I find it a major annoyance and nuisance, but that's just.
Well, a lot of people do. They say, well, email me. Well, I don't have time to sit there and compose something, man. Let's just talk about it and get it over with.
But with Lenny, or Professor Shedletsky, whom we all call Lenny.
Well, we have to, yes.
I have yet to ask a question and not receive basically an immediate response.
Yep.
And sometimes I think that our responses actually arrive more quickly online than they do in the classroom. Because I know that my question will be read and will be responded to, where in the classroom I may be called upon if I have a question and I may not, depending on how many other questions.
How many, like in Lenny's classes, how big are they?
The online classes?
No, the in-person classes. So you're saying you may not get a chance to talk to him in the class. Is that what you're saying?
Or ask in, not necessarily in one of his classes, but in any class.
Okay, all right, I see.
There's a 10-minute question and answer period at the end of the.
You're not going to have time if there's
not,
30 to 50 people
You may
in
not
that
have
class.
time to be recognized.
Right,
Exactly.
I see. All right, Alice Goodwin, a USM major. My question is, Lenny, you were saying earlier, now, what do you know? Has it been an improvement? Talk about the quality of interaction that we're getting now.
Okay, I think that what we were just talking about has a lot of potential in it. I think the way to think about all of this is to think about each form in which we communicate as unique. Each one has features that individuals will respond to in various ways. So, for example, you were asking about asking the teacher questions. Some people are highly reticent in the classroom. And if you ask them why, it may turn out to be family background. They were raised to be silent. Some feel it's rude to get into a conversation. Those same people online don't have to deal with those issues.
I see.
So something about the medium itself may be very, very powerful. Some people
Because you're not anonymous, are you?
Well,
right?
You're not anonymous, but if you ask students why they're more likely to speak up online than in the classroom, they say because they feel anonymous. And you say, your name is right there.
Right.
They are psychologically anonymous.
I see.
And it's very powerful because the difference between their willingness to speak up in a classroom, especially for, say, a freshman level class, and their willingness to speak up in a chat room or on a discussion board is enormous.
Well, like in other words, it makes me think that if you were a freshman or somebody not used to speaking out in front of people and people you don't even know, you say something stupid and everybody starts laughing. Well, they may be laughing off behind their own computers, but you can't hear them, right?
Well, you're hitting right on it. When I ask students why they don't say much in class, but they were kidding around online and quite active, it's because I don't want people to think I'm stupid. I don't want to see them roll their eyes. Part of it is I don't want to see them react negatively to me. It's amazing how powerful that is.
And they don't get to see your reaction. What if you burst out into tears?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it. I think that's maybe one reason why people sometimes can be harsher online
Right.
than face to face, or take more of a chance in saying what they think. So in terms of the quality of a discussion, the potential is there for people to speak up and say what they think. Although, the research that I've read so far on discussion doesn't suggest that either the classroom or online is generating a whole lot of really engaged, high quality, critical thinking discussion. Both areas are really producing kind of a low quality discussion, but different dynamics when you compare the two.
And I'll ask you to judge your two students here on the air live, right before we call up, right?
These are two top-notch students. These are two people who, obviously from their coming here, are willing to speak up in public, and they have generated tremendous discussions online, and have said, hey, where's everybody else?
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Well, I would think that the advantage to be online is that you really do have time to think about the question you're going to ask,
Exactly.
right? And formulate it and say, no, that's not what I wanted to say.
Exactly.
Because in class I could speak up and I could ask my question, and then I get 2 minutes later I'd be like, no, that's not really. I forgot to ask this part of it. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
so like online, it's kind of like you've got the time to review what you're trying to say and edit it and maybe develop it a little bit more.
The other side of that is then you get some people who are anxious about writing. They feel like they're fixing in place what they have to say, and it's there to be reviewed. Whereas if they were just speaking in class, it's gone.
Nobody's taping it.
Nobody's
Hopefully.
taping it. So you get anxieties around all aspects of it. And I think the best way to think about this stuff is to think that each medium has attached to it a large number of variables that individuals respond to in different ways.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that and isn't that really what it comes down to? There seems to be this big drive, certainly in public school, to find the one thing that's going to mass educate everybody reasonably well and for the minimal amount of money.
Right.
And that's got to be, and of course in USM you're thinking about money as well. And but isn't the reality is that everybody's different. Everybody's going to maybe react a little bit online, or they prefer this, they prefer that, but having all these options certainly is not a bad thing.
Yeah. No, I think part of it is that there's I think a wish that's a mistake, and that is that we're going to find the right trick, the right technology.
Right.
And what I'm discovering, the more I look into this, is that
The new math, right?
exactly, and I think that probably this is driving me back to the past rather than the future. And I'm thinking what we need to do maybe is go back and read how Socrates did it and figure out how to have a good discussion.
Right.
It's still going to come down to those skills. The microphone isn't doing making this into a discussion. You are. We are.
Right.
And the same online or in the classroom.
If I had Britney Spears say in here, this conversation may not be happening.
It'd be different, I guess. Yes.
Even though she's a big star and makes a lot of people a lot of money.
I'm not making any comment on it.
Okay. All right. USM Communication Professor Lenny Shedletsky. We're talking about virtual reality, virtual progress. Is it virtual progress or is there real progress there? Warren is here stabbing Lenny's bio with the pen.
Smart boy.
All right. Well, we got a few minutes left. USM Communications Senior Alice Goodwin. What about now? Do you talk to other students about what they prefer and what they don't prefer? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
What is the feeling in the classroom from that level?
Well, it's interesting because I've been working on research with Professor Shedletsky, and I've talked a lot and sent emails out to my fellow students. And the general perception is that most of them don't seem to enjoy online. They don't feel like they get enough feedback, but their participation level is basically nil.
Right.
So this topic for other courses, and it fascinates me. I think it's certainly a viable form of education. But in our discussion today, what comes to mind for me is that I think as students and individuals, we need to determine and do some self-discovery as to what environment is truly the best environment for us to learn in.
Mm-hmm.
And not everyone may be well suited to learning in an online environment or a classroom environment.
USM's communication major, Alice Goodwin. Wayne Griffin, same question to you. I mean, what do you talk to other students? What's
I'm more of an observer.
Excuse, that's Warren. He's doing construction on Lenny's bio.
I tend to not talk to people too much, but I like to observe. So I actually observe how people are reacting to the professor, and I don't see too much difference between on-ground and online classes.
Okay.
Some students just sit there in the classroom, and some students just post what they have to in the online. I don't see that.
So you find it that students react in a similar way?
It comes down to the student.
It comes down to the
It
student.
comes down to the student. Yeah.
Do you think? Okay, last question for everybody: is human interaction gone by the wayside? Is it old hat? Do we just plug ourselves into some electronic system and just press buttons?
No.
No.
Well, there you go. Never ask a yes or no question if you're trying to fill 2 more minutes.
Joe Biden approach.
Isn't that? Well, you're the communications, right? Right? The communications. You never in an interview, you don't ask yes or no questions, right? And I just did. Warren's not had a full hour nap yet. All right, so we're out of here. Okay, well, Lenny Shadletsky, USM professor. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on in the radio. We appreciate you taking the time to come down
I
here.
enjoyed it. Thank you.
And seniors, communication majors, also seniors, Alice Goodwin. Alice, thank you for joining us.
Thank
That
you.
wasn't so bad, was it?
No, it was painless.
And how was it, the headphones? You like the headphones?
Very nice.
Very okay. And Wayne Griffin, how about yourself, man?
Appreciate it.
All right.
Nice to be here.
Thank you guys for coming down.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for today's show. Let's see. This program was produced live at WMPG Radio 90.9 and 104.1 FM at the University of Southern Maine at Portland. It was video recorded for Portland's Community Television Network, cable access channels 2 and 4 by Jeffrey Phillips. Thank you, Jeffrey. And edited by Ray Tiley. Jessica Lockhart is our engineer. HomeDad is produced and hosted by me. I'm Chip Edgar. Thanks for listening. Danny's up next with Caribbean Flavor. And remember, spend time with your kids. It's a one-shot deal.